first a disclaimer. If you clicked on this video because you are currently pregnant and haven't told anyone, then first of all, congratulations for carrying that new beautiful life inside of you, and yeah, you should really tell someone. I know it sounds scary and impossible, but just please believe me, it will all be better in the end. So the real reason why you clicked on this video is to find out why I hid my pregnancy for almost 6 months and how it all happened. And yeah, if you're curious, then just keep watching. Okay, so let's just start with the beginning on how we found out, where we were at that point in time, and then just go from there, okay? And I'll probably show pictures here and there, just show them what I was, or what I looked like at that time, and bear with me. This is my first video ever, so let's go back to the very beginning. It was June of 2017, and I was 21 at that point, and my boyfriend was 20. So we were in the US, where he's from. I'm from Germany, so I was just visiting over the summer. I was supposed to get my period in June, beginning of June, and I didn't. Now, my period at that point was always very regular, and even my boyfriend knew, because it was so regular, he knew like exactly each month, okay, it's gonna be there. So the next day after missing my period, I was like, that is strange, because usually that never happened. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I just traveled here, jet lag, maybe it just got all a little bit mixed up and my body's confused. So I was just giving it time and thinking, I'll get my period tomorrow. Next day goes by, didn't get it. Next day, didn't get it. And every morning when I woke up, I was like, okay, today's the day, I'm gonna get my period. But I never got it, and only like that first or second day after didn't getting it, we already kind of knew. We were thinking, okay, maybe I'm pregnant. And back then that was a scary thought, just because our situation was very crazy at that point, because we both were about to start something new. We had previously studied and just didn't, both stopped with the degree we were studying, and hopefully that fall was supposed to be our new start at trying something new. And just we were back and forth between Germany and the US so much to always be with each other, that we were thinking, okay, this is gonna totally change things, and change can be scary, but so we kind of knew from the beginning, which is kind of strange, because you always hear those stories about the girl surprising the guy, like, oh, you're gonna be a dad. And my boyfriend kind of, the first day I didn't get my period, we were both like, this is suspicious. But yeah, so a few days go by, a week goes by, a week and a half, didn't get my period, and we didn't test. I don't know why, looking back, I can't see how I didn't want to just know for sure then, but I think it was because we were still thinking, okay, like, it's not real. We were kind of, I guess, in denial. I don't know why, but also it was the summer, we were doing a bunch of things, we were kind of just not thinking about that. Now it was the end of June, and I was ready to go back to Germany, because in July there were like 2 weddings, family celebrations that I wanted to be part of. So it's the end of June, and I haven't had my period in a while, but we still haven't tested. So, but we knew, we just knew. So I go back to Germany, and leaving him here in the US, because he had other things to take care of, he couldn't go with me to Germany then. It was kind of a hard goodbye, because we knew kind of that the next time we will see each other, which we didn't know exactly when that would be at that point, because it was always so back and forth. We knew that things were going to be much different. So I come to Germany, super happy to see my family again. I always love reuniting with them, and I kind of, like, I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know for sure. So I take a pregnancy test, which I come from a bigger family, so it's not that easy to find a quiet place, because of course this was also new. I didn't even know, am I pregnant, what's going on, so I didn't tell anyone, didn't tell any of my siblings that I was gonna take a test. And yeah, so I hid in the bathroom, the classic scenario. Took the pregnancy test, and as I lay it down to wait, because we were supposed to wait for 2 to 3 minutes for the result to show up, like as I lay it down, 2 lines show up, like boom boom, just like the liquid goes through, you can just see the colors change, and boom boom, 2 lines just right there. And I didn't even have the chance to like lay it down, cover it, wait. It was so positive. I wasn't surprised, that's the funny thing, because I was like, oh, okay, I knew. So next day, took another pregnancy test just to make sure, you know, and same thing, 2 lines, perfectly, like so bold, just right there. At that point, I still didn't tell anyone, of course. My boyfriend, he kind of knew. I didn't even have to tell him if it was positive or not. We just both knew, and it was kind of hard being that far away with the time difference and everything, just being, yeah, we messaged, we were on the phone, but we still kind of we're just waiting, like, oh, it's still really early, we don't need to tell anyone, right? Days go by. Actually made an appointment for to go to the doctor to verify the pregnancy, and just to make sure everything is looking good, because I've heard before of ectopic pregnancy, or I don't know, I was scared. I was just saying, okay, just make sure if there's a baby for sure, and if the baby is in the right place, right? So make an appointment, which I was really nervous. I always get nervous when I call people on the phone. So I was like, I got 2 positive pregnancy tests, should I come in? And they're like, yeah, sure, just come in next week. And they were really sweet about it. The second thing I had to do in secret was get to the appointment without anyone noticing, right? So this is summer vacation, my siblings are all home, we love doing things together, so trying to get downtown, which that's where the doctor office was, try to get downtown alone was a challenge. So it took everything in me to say, like, oh, I need to like check a few things, it's gonna be boring, I need to go to the bank, and like, you guys just stay here, right? Because my 2 younger siblings, which I totally adore, my sisters, they would have loved to go downtown with me. So luckily everything worked out, and I took off on my own. It was mid-July by now, and to go to the doctor's appointment, it was the doctor my mom went to for all of her pregnancies, so he knew me. And for some reason, even though I know doctors are supposed to keep everything secret and, you know, never tell anyone else, part of me was scared. I was like, wait, is this right? Like, going to the place that my mom goes to, right? But it turned out to be perfect. It was funny because the doctor even asked me, like, oh, you know, do your parents know yet? He was really excited for me, and I was like, no, I'm scared. But he was very encouraging even then, which, looking back, I probably should have listened. But yeah, so I sit down in the chair. He did an ultrasound, which was vaginally then, because it was still really early. I told him, you know, how far along I think I am on my calculations of my last period and whatnot. And yeah, as soon as we look on the screen, there's something, like, just this little round thing. And he was like, yep, that's looking perfectly healthy, like doing all the measurements. And he said, you're about 8 weeks and a few days, so in my 9th week. And he said everything is looking perfect. Seeing it then, like, even I knew it, but having a picture of it, so you know, he printed out that little ultrasound picture, which I still have to this day, and I put it in my wallet, and yeah, never took it out. I just always had it in there and would look back on it. That's kind of how I found out for sure, even though this whole time we knew. I just knew I had to keep it a secret. I couldn't tell anyone now, it was still so early. Of course, the main reason was scared of the reaction of everyone. I love my parents, I love my grandparents, my whole family. Part of me was scared, you know, what are they gonna think? Especially that I haven't even started my education, my degree, don't have a job. It's funny because I was 21, right? You'd think like that's a normal age to get pregnant, even though it's not super young, right? It's still young, yes. Some people nowadays have babies in their 30s and that's normal. But I also know there's some people that are married at my age than 21 and probably are planning to have kids. And I felt like though I was 16 or 17, which, don't be offended out there if you are that young and pregnant right now, or if you have had a baby at 16, 17, or even earlier than that. You are awesome. You're awesome for bringing new life into this world, and I really respect you, respect everyone. Just for me at that point, I felt like I was not supposed to be pregnant at that age, which is weird because I always dreamed of being a mother. That was really everything I wanted to be. But then when I actually fell pregnant, it was strange when, it was actually real then. And for some reason, I just had to keep it for myself for a while. So yeah, weeks go by, still in Germany. It's summertime, it's warm, and I was thinking, okay, I hope no one notices, right? Good thing is I didn't have, or I was very lucky to not have any pregnancy symptoms or very minor symptoms. So no throwing up, no like strange reasons, anyone else could see that I'm pregnant. Obviously when you're 10, 11 weeks or so, you don't usually really show, or I feel like at your first pregnancy, or at least I didn't. So the only thing that was different, but luckily no one notices, was that one thing I did have is food aversions. Someone cutting their grass. Hello? Okay, so let's keep going. So to my pregnancy symptoms, minor pregnancy symptoms, I did have strange food aversions and just couldn't eat like I normally did, but never so that anyone would notice. So, because I usually have a very good appetite, I'm a good eater, and that one just felt strange and weird. Not like, usually I would always know, okay, today I'm craving this, today I'm craving that, and I would know exactly what I was in the mood for. That kind of disappeared, and I just couldn't picture myself eating certain foods before that I loved, like avocado toast or anything with avocado just seemed repulsive, revolting. I don't know if I'm using the right words, but in water. I usually would always be able to drink a lot of water and just couldn't stomach it that well. But anyway, okay, but really back to the timeline. Sorry if this has been too much about how I found out. Now it is early August and I really miss my boyfriend. I just knew I had to go back, especially now with being pregnant. We had to be together, right? Part of me was thinking, okay, should I tell them before I go? Just about almost 3 months pregnant, so it's still really early. So didn't tell them and left to go back to be with my boyfriend. For the next 3 months, 2.5 months, I stayed in the US. We moved places. He started his education and I started to do an, half online, half on campus thing based in Germany. So I had a few months until I had to be back in Germany for a present phase of that degree that I was starting to do. So that time I just remember that we didn't talk that much about my pregnancy because it was so easy to just not tell anyone because I wasn't with my family. We did visit his family here and there. It was starting to get cold. I was wearing chunky sweaters, cardigans, just start to wear thicker clothes. You could really easily hide my belly, and also I just wasn't that big yet, right? So that was really lucky, I guess, if you want to say, on my part. So it was very easy. Now September came around and sadly my boyfriend's grandpa passed away, so that month was just really emotional for his side of the family. We also knew, okay, this is not the right time really to tell them. Now, even though every weekend we were thinking, okay, should we tell them now? Because usually we'd see them on the weekend, but then for me, with not being with my family, it didn't feel right because I was thinking, okay, I don't want to tell my family on the phone. This is something very personal and I would rather just tell them in person. So I kept pushing that away and thinking, like, kind of justifying why I haven't told them yet. At the end of September, we were going to my boyfriend's side of the family to celebrate his grandpa's life, the one who passed away. It was the first time I was going to see a lot of that side of the family. And I remember the day before our flight, I went thrift shopping to find some clothes that I feel more comfortable in, because even though I didn't really show yet, of course, that my body changed. So I picked up a few blouses that were very comfortable and some pants that weren't as snug. But I was pretty lucky. I was still able to fit in all of my clothes really, just not the very tight ones, because you could start to see a little bit. Yeah, like I said, I'll add a few pictures here and there, even though that's the really sad part, that I didn't take that many pictures throughout that part of my pregnancy, maybe because I was scared that someone, you know, would see them on my phone. I don't know. I wish I would have embraced my pregnancy more in the beginning, which, yeah, more to that later. The trip comes around, no one noticed. I felt normal, everything was fine, and yeah, so we go back. October begins and someone is blending something in the background. I hope you can't hear that, but I will just keep going, I hope. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but ever since finding out going to the doctor, I haven't been to a checkup. Now I know that is pretty bad, and looking back, that's another thing I wish I would have done differently. Being as a visitor, a tourist basically in the US, with their healthcare system being very different, health insurance, and I think I did have some sort of travel insurance, but I was just very nervous that whatever we do, if we go to, you know, a doctor, that paperwork was going to be sent to somewhere and people would find out. For some reason, we were so scared people would find out. Still don't know why, knowing how everything is now, which I'll get to later as well. But we were just thinking, okay, we can't do that. Like, and good thing also, of course, you know, I listened to my body. I did so much research on my own, had all these apps that told me what is normal around this time in pregnancy, and really tried to connect somehow with my baby, and I felt fine. And obviously, if I would have felt like something was wrong, if there would have been any symptoms that showed me that something might be going on, of course we would have gone immediately. I felt so good, which that went on through my whole pregnancy. I almost felt like I wasn't pregnant for a very long time, which I'm lucky. I know I'm lucky. I felt so good. So, but end of October comes around, or almost end of October, and my flight was scheduled to go back to Germany because I had my school was, they had something going on. I had to be present at, and of course I missed my family. So flight was booked a week or so before that. We just really wanted to know how our baby is doing. Is everything okay? Because at that point I haven't felt any movement, and I was already wasn't getting too worried, because I knew it depends on how your placenta is, you know, or with your whole anatomy. It can be different for every woman when you start feeling movement. So I was 20 weeks, or in my 21st week of pregnancy, that we luckily locally where we were found a women's health pregnancy center that offered to do anonymous checkup. Yeah, just offered this service to also do an ultrasound, and we just called them. We were very nervous.
Sorry?
Yeah.
We can always edit this out of the video. So.
That was my husband bringing me a smoothie, which was very sweet of him. But yeah. So, where were we? We had booked an appointment, or called the place, the pregnancy place, and they were so sweet. They said, yeah, just come over. They did 2 different appointments. At first, it was just like a counseling session. Their job is to help, you know, young expectant mothers or parents that, yeah, maybe don't know where to go. Kind of like us, just that we were already pretty far along in the pregnancy. So what was kind of funny is that I had to take another pregnancy test, even though at that point, or what I was wearing that day, I guess you could see a little bit that I had a belly. So it was kind of obvious that the pregnancy test was going to be positive, but I still took it either way. And we did this little counseling session at the place. They were all women, really, really friendly, and really encouraging. We told them everything, you know, why we haven't told anyone, and they were super encouraging and telling us, okay, just tell them, they're gonna love us. They're gonna, you know, love our little baby. Just, yeah, they said, okay, just tell him. But yeah, we came back, I think 2 days later or so, to actually get the ultrasound done. And I was really, I guess, nervous and excited at once, because that was the second time after, you know, the first time, which back then it was only a little, like, tiny little bubble, it looked like, on the ultrasound picture. So we get there, and they took the ultrasound for maybe 45 minutes or so, and it was so amazing. We could see on a big screen that they had up on the wall, and especially for my boyfriend, I think it was just very emotional for both of us to see that there's actually a full baby inside of me. And you know, like a 21 week old baby is pretty big. You know, it looks like a normal, like, you can see everything, of course. And she was moving in there, and it was just very special to see that everything was perfect. Heart was healthy, brain, every development just seemed right on track with how far along I was, and we were so happy to see that everything was good. And funny thing is, because at that point you could have already detected the gender, but the ultrasound technician wasn't allowed to tell us, and I remember even signing something that she wasn't allowed to say anything. But funny enough, after the appointment, they gave us a little gift, which was 2 baby socks. I still have them. Wait, let me get them. So these 2, aren't they cute? They gave us these. Okay, notice the color. They're pink and purple. So I remember her saying, like, oh, the color doesn't have anything to do with the gender, it's a neutral color. And obviously there's not really a color for any gender, but these look obviously like girl socks, right? So back then we believed her, but funny enough, I mean, she is a girl. And I always wondered, looking back now, were they giving us a little, like, hint that what we're having? So yeah, these are the 2 little socks. Later in my pregnancy, when I had a photo shoot, I used these, and maybe I'll show a picture of that. Anyways, so that's them. Anyway, so we found out everything's healthy. We have an actual full-sized human baby inside of me, and that day changed a lot of things. And an interesting fact is, up until then, I haven't felt her. Like I said earlier, during the ultrasound, she was moving quite a lot, and she said, like, oh, you probably have felt her so much. And I was like, actually, no. And then I remembered reading, and then she was telling me too that sometimes you just don't know that that's what you're feeling. It could feel like, you know, just another sensation that your body usually feels, like gas bubbles or anything. But that very night, I remember so clearly, we were sitting on the couch. I was laying down really comfortable, and I felt something, and I lifted up my shirt, and surely enough, I could also see something, like at the lower belly part. You could see every time I would feel it, it would be like a little, it would lift off, kind of, right? And then I called my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, I can't feel it. And I was so excited, and he could also feel it. So I was so yeah, that day just really changed, especially also after talking to the women. Another disclaimer: if you're pregnant and you're very scared or don't want to tell anyone, or if you're underage and you don't want to tell your mom to drive you to a doctor, even though you should, but if you for some reason can't, look around in the area if there is something like that, like a women's health pregnancy center, that some that are very supportive of you, yeah, having your child, or just counseling overall if you don't know what to do, because they exist. And it's pretty amazing that yeah, if you think you can't get help alone, you can, but you also should tell someone you trust. Okay, so a few weeks later, I fly home, and I know, okay, this is the time I need to tell my family. Finally, I'm almost 6 months pregnant. I was, I think, in my 24th week or 24 weeks, and I still wasn't showing too much at all. It looked like I was heavily bloated or just had a really good meal at all you can eat buffet. Get to Germany. First, I have to go to Berlin, Germany, to go to the campus of the school that I was doing the degree at, which I had a wonderful time there. I knew, okay, after this week, when I go back to my hometown, I'm gonna tell them. I have to tell them. And this is gonna sound really weird maybe, but I couldn't really celebrate my pregnancy yet, which I think I felt that during that time. I was like, wait, this doesn't feel right. You know, I should be, you know, talking about it all the time with everyone, thinking about it which I did think about it very much. I think I was just also, as much as I was nervous, I was finally ready to just get it out there and really live being pregnant, if that makes sense. I got home, not the very same day, because you know how it always is, oh, tomorrow. Nope, do it today. If there's anything else you think you should do tomorrow, do it today. I remember, yeah, just finally saying like, hey, I have to tell you something, just sit down, which already sounds very, very, you know, suspicious. So either they were thinking, okay, is she gonna tell us that they're getting married, or is she pregnant? I told them, I said, I'm gonna have a baby. It was German, obviously, but for what happened next, I really wasn't prepared for. My mom started crying a little bit, happy tears. My sisters jumped up and down the couch out of excitement, singing They're Gonna Be Ants, basically. And my dad, shortly after, called his best friends, telling them he's gonna be a grandpa, and he was so proud. And every single one of my family members was so excited, and this almost makes me emotional looking back, but it was one of the best times in my life. Other than not having my boyfriend with me there, I wish he would have felt how excited everyone was for us. It was incredible. Now it was, you know, end of October, beginning of November, and just one thing that I remember is that my mom said, oh, she wishes she would have known earlier so she could go with me to the appointments and support me. I wish I would have given her, you know, the chance to be there for me, because it was in a way not fair of me to not tell anyone. But I did. My older sister and one of my brothers were at university, so I called them that very same day. My sister started crying on the phone because she was so excited. Every single day I feel like I tell someone new, like tell my grandparents. They were all just so happy because I could finally like celebrate being pregnant. I could talk about it. Just everything started to go from there. And when I told everyone how far along I was, everyone was so shocked. When they said, oh, when's the baby gonna be? And I said, February. They were like, what? That's in like just a few months. And anyways, also I didn't really have to deal along with questions like, you know, is it gonna be a girl? Is it gonna be a boy? Because like 3 days after I told everyone, I had another appointment with my doctor in Germany, who was finally very happy to see me again after all this time. And we found out that it was gonna be a sweet little girl. I felt so relieved that everyone knew. But looking back, I just should have told them. It would have been, I feel like, so much happier in the beginning, and explaining, you know, why I didn't tell them, you know, because of course they were curious to know why I didn't tell them. So the education, financially, luckily I have a very supportive family. This is not the same for everyone. They just said a baby doesn't need much. It just needs you and a lot of love. To anyone out there that this thing can't support my baby, or I can't have this baby, you have you, and you have so much love for this baby, at least in the beginning. Everything the baby needs. Yeah, I can't believe I'm done, and I actually took a lot of notes. Didn't need any of them. Actually, wait, I didn't want to do that. I hope you enjoyed some of the pictures. If you like this video, then I'm glad you did. And even if it just helped one person out there, do not be scared to tell anyone that everything will be good in the end, and if it's not good yet, it's not the end.